All right, so we're going to dive into the pond principle and to earn trust before you chase the ocean. All right, so this is where many people sabotage their podcast before they even start, is that they think that they should be swimming in the ocean, and that is that they aim for everybody, and the result is that they sound just like everybody. But see, trust doesn't form when you're talking to the whole internet. It is formed at different levels and stages in the process. And usually, and what I'm going to present to you is at the beginning, it's very refined. It has a sharp point, okay? It's not multiple points. It's not very broad. It's one kind of clear point before you spread out. Okay. Now, the reason why people are swimming in the ocean is because they already went through the process. Okay. And that is they've already started at ground zero and they worked themselves up and they've got into what I'm calling the ocean. But we're not swimming in the ocean. We are starting at a very smaller stage in the process, and it's important for us to understand where we are so we can sharpen our point. During this time, you have to get super, super clear, and you have to get who you're talking to and the problem that you solve very, very refined. Okay. Now, when you are clear about this, your voice gets super, super clear. You get grounded, your message gets sharper, and you're able to sharpen the point. Now, one of the worst things that you could do is show up in the marketplace with multiple different points. It's a good way to cause a lot of confusion. In fact, any form of communication should have one clear point. Some of the best messages for transformation, they don't have all of these different points that they're trying to get across. They are trying to get across one point. And then, of course, everything behind that supports that one point. It's really hard to pierce somebody or to prick somebody's heart or get their message to take root if you have a multi-pointed spear. All right. And so here's the psychology and the logic behind it is you pick one at the beginning. Now, this is not to mean that you can't grow, and you will grow, and you will have multiple different avatars with multiple different points, but you have to get good at using the single spear with the single tip, with the single message, and get results with that first. Now, here's the danger is that we look at the gurus that are swimming in the ocean, and they've spent a lot of time developing their business and their model and all that different stuff, and they're very generalized, if you will. They're no longer in the specialty category, and they're playing a different game. All right. And I'm going to kind of lay out the journey and the stages and what that looks like, so we can stop looking at those who are in the ocean and start thinking that we can play their game, because we can't. All right. We're not at that level. And what I mean by that is, when you play a video game and you go through different levels and you face different enemies and different bosses and different stuff like that, this is the game that we're playing when it comes to marketing and social media, building our influence, our tribe, and our brand, and all these different things, okay? And inside of the game, you don't go on stage one and then go finally face the end boss. And the reason why you don't face the level at the end is because you don't have the talent, skills, and resources necessary to defeat that, right? And in this case, I'm talking about swimming in the ocean. Is that we don't have the talent, skills, and necessary mindset and everything that we need. We're not fully equipped to go swim in the ocean yet, all right? And no amount of shortcutting the process is going to help you in this endeavor. So here's what I see. And I think there's multiple paths that you can go down, but I want to make sure that the two are super, super clear. The one path is I can see what is ahead of me in the stage that I'm in. and I could do the things necessary and grow and expand and do things that's going to get me to the next level. And I could start at stage 1 and go to stage 2, 3, 4, and onward until I end up in the ocean. All right. This is the way that I suggest, this is the way I'm presenting in this book, is that this is the path, this is the stage. You don't want to have a level 1 maturity level, a pond level thinking. I'm talking about a pond, not a pond. All right, pond level thinking, and throw you in the ocean. You are not going to survive the sharks if you get thrown in the ocean with pond level thinking. All right, there's no equation where that works out. This is why I'm suggesting that you grow in stages inside of your influence and inside of the growth that you're going to experience. Now, the other way to do this is, I've talked about this previously, as either muscle or fake. And I see people do this all the time, right? And that is to pretend you're at a certain level and to put on the facade or the masquerade that is the level that you are at. And so kind of the fake it till you make it culture is that I'm going to skip all the stages in the process of, let's say stage 7 is the ocean in influence and credibility, right? These are the people that have 100,000 email lists, massive amount of followers. It's big level stage, right? And for me to go into the ocean and to pretend that I've done the work, well, I'm gonna tell you, you're going to get found out pretty quick when you go to network and connect and partner with somebody and you can't actually do any of the things you say. You're just putting on a show. I don't want that for you, okay? And then the other one I've talked about is that you can muscle your way and try to muscle your way through the stages, right? And that is a large cash flow and money and all these different things. And it's just like the faking process. Is yes, you could probably skip some stages, but you never actually got the real influence. You never really crafted your message. And this is why I think it's really important to start organically. This is at the bottom level thinking. You got to start organically so you can hone in your message, so you can get the reps and skills of speaking periodically, okay? I want you to think about it this way. If you wanted to speak on stages, if you wanted to speak on a stage every week, it would benefit you greatly to get the reps of speaking before you got on the stage, right? If you go from 0 to 7, and 7 is on the stage speaking to thousands of people, and you're at 0 and you show up at a level 7 stage and you show up on there, you are going to look like a buffoon. And that is, you're just going to be so ill prepared because you never done the reps. All right. You never learn how to structure and craft your message. You never learn how to speak with the point. You never learn all these different things, but you're going to show up at level 7 and think that you're going to wow and woo a crowd. I can guarantee you it's just not going to happen. Okay. And so you have to put the time in and you have to do the reps. All right. All right. So we got that kind of out of the way. So the biggest thing that we can understand is where we are currently located. And that is, if you're just getting off the sidelines and into the flow and into the activity, then you don't belong in the ocean. And that is, you don't belong in the river. You don't belong in the stream yet, right? You are still like the rainfall that has come down. The rain has just hit the ground. And that's, most startup modes start at that point. It doesn't mean that you can't progress fastly through those different stages, but everybody starts somewhere, and it starts with getting off the sidelines. And so there is no amount of trust going to be had, or status for that matter, if you are trying to swim in the ocean and you haven't got the reps yet. Okay, we're talking about status and credibility. And let me tell you, if I were to go into an elite table, now I want you to think of the movie Titanic, and I want you to think of Jack Dawson. Okay, and he goes and he sits with these uppity people who are multi-millionaires. They are high class, they have manners, and they have structure, and they have all of this different things. And then the hobo comes to the party, right? And he's not part of the inner circle. He lives a Hakuna Matata. He lives carefree. Like there's only so long that he can pretend before he gets found out, right? And that is he doesn't know the conversation. He doesn't know the lingo. He doesn't know the manners. And that is, it's not going to take too long for people around them to recognize that this is not a high status dude. All right. And what do? They immediately eject him. And that conversation that the guy has with them about, yeah, you don't want to participate in this is because this is going to be so boring and it's going to be above you. It's a little bit comical, but it's sad, but it's true. And that's just the reality of it. And Jesus said it this way. He said that when you go to sit at something at a banquet or whatever it is, don't go pick the high spot unless somebody comes and finds out that you don't belong in that circle and they point it out and you get demoted. This is the same sort of philosophy, is that if we want status, it is trust at the stage that we're in and the location that we are in, okay? Now, if I show up inside of the ocean and I start talking a good game and like I can do this, that, and the other thing, it won't take long for me to get demoted back to the river. You get what I'm saying? We got it. Okay. Status is relevant to the stage that you are currently in. All right. And when I find most people, they're in one of these two stages. And that is they're the rainfall that has just come down. All right. And that is they're getting off the sidelines. They're taking massive action. Here they are arriving on the scene. They are doing something. They're going to write that book, launch that course. They're going to start that podcast. They're going to start building their influence. This is rainfall. All right. And then it goes to, maybe a puddle or a pond. And the status factor is according to the circle that you are in. Now, if you are in a puddle or a pond, all right, you're absolutely insignificant to the ocean, all right? And if you go and try to have status in the ocean, you are not going to have status at all. So you think of in terms, since I am in a puddle or a pond, then how can I be high status in my current circle in where I am located inside of my life? What does high status look like inside of there? Now, in the future, I'm going to communicate something so beneficial for you. And that is low status and high status energy. And what are you projecting into the world? Because you are not going to be able to make any money online if you're constantly projecting low status. And I'm going to show you what low status behaviors are. And you're going to be absolutely amazed by that future episode. Okay. All right. So never fake a stage that you're not in. Embrace where you are currently located. And then think about how you are going to get to the next stage. That's all it's about. All right. So if you got rainfall and you just got your idea and you're thinking about starting something up and you're thinking about launching and the ideas are flowing in and the rain is falling, that's where you are. All right. And so when you go inside the puddle in the pond, then you go, all right, I'm not trying to fake that I'm in a different stage than I am. I'm going to master this stage so I can do what is required to go to the next stage. All right. Now, here's a reality about high and low status is that you never want to be led by or mentored by somebody who is of a lower status than you are. Now, the only thing that person can do is maybe to tell you what not to do. And I'm not saying that that's not valuable, right? I think you can learn from all people, all right? And even if it's just what not to do. So I don't want to sound crass or crude with this. I do want to say that generally you can learn anything from anybody. But I'm talking about something a little bit different. I'm talking about looking up to. I'm talking about choosing a mentor. And I'm talking about genuine, real leadership, not fake leadership. Is that you would never seek advice from a man about marriage whose marriage is on the rocks and failing, and his wife just gave him divorce papers. He's not qualified. He does not have what you want. And it doesn't matter which way you slice it, that if you go to that man and to mentor you inside of a relationship is a very, very foolish thing to do. Very foolish, right? Now, the same is true. Let's go to weight loss. That weight loss, you're thinking about trimming down, you're thinking about losing weight, you're thinking about building muscle, and you want to get somebody who is going to mentor you along in the process. What you would not do is to go to a morbidly obese man who is not in the process. Now, if that guy was 500 and he lost 200 pounds, I think that would be relevant. But you kind of get the gist of is that I'm not going to go to a hypocrite, and that is somebody who is not practicing what they preach. And I'm not going to go to somebody who doesn't actually have the ability to get me the results that I'm looking for, right? That's what leadership is. Now, we have made leadership a hierarchy where there is a person at the top screaming and barking orders from above. But when you in reality set the pyramid flat, what you have is a person who is in front of you. And that's what a leader really is. And that is they are in a stage that is higher or farther than you are. And the reason why you would want them as a mentor is so they can bring you to the level that they are currently located. Catching my drift. Okay. So we got that. Let's give one more example so it hits home. Money. All right. Business coach, money, whatever it is if you hire a business coach who has multiple failed businesses and failed exits and companies crashing, I would endeavor to say the only advice I would take from that man is what not to do. All right. Now, if you're looking to scale a business and they've had a successful scaling and they have exiting where they had a good exit, that's the person that I would take advice from, right? And so you speak to the level of your experience and your knowledge, okay? I'm not trying to talk to you about the ocean. You know the reason why? Is because I haven't swam in the ocean. If you're looking for a leader or a guide that can take you from all the way from rainfall to the ocean, you're getting it all mixed up. That's not the way transformation happens. And that is on the journey of life, you are going to have multiple different guides that are going to take you to different levels. And you're going to find yourself at a level and you want to go to the next level. And the current guide that you have is not going to get you to the next level. Now, when it comes to coaches or this space, the person that you hire can only take you to the level that they are currently located. You should never hire me to take you to the ocean, okay? Now, if you want to go to the river, you want to create momentum, you want to reach thousands and thousands of people, and you want the direction of where the ocean is and all these different things, by all means, I am your guy and I can take you pretty far, but there is going to become a time where you're going to want to incorporate someone else, okay? Most of these experiences and relationships, they are not lifelong things, right? On the stages of your hero's journey, you are going to meet your guide, and that guide is for a period and a season of time. Utilize them, get the talent, skills, and resources to be successful and get to the next level, and then find your next guide. All right? Understood. Now, large gurus are playing a different game. Now, I follow large gurus because I see where it is that I want to go. But I understand that a lot of the advice that they're given is not really relevant for me. All right. And the reason why is because, like, let's take Gary V example. Okay. Multiple investments, $300 million media empire. Like as far as status and like, he's like way out there. And most of the advice that they give is connected to kind of where they're currently located. And what you're going to hear from a lot of people that are swimming in the ocean is that you need to get very, very general. And let me explain to you the reason why they went from focused one point to general. That way we can catch the vibe. You don't want to go to general starting out. Absolutely not. You think they built a $300 million media empire on me in general? No, they didn't. All right. And you take whoever it is, none of them created their empire by being a generalist. All right. They're generalists now because they have multiple companies under their portfolio. And now they are creating a brand that is outside of all of their companies. And they can just point to whatever single company they want money to flow into. This is the status that they are. They are ocean. They're in the ocean. They're playing a totally different game. Most of these people are playing a popularity game. And that is, the many eyeballs I can get on my content, the better. I'm going to be as general as possible and all these different things, right? So they can reach the masses. Their goal is the masses because they're playing a whole different game than we are, all right? Where did they start out? They started out at getting very, very specific. They had a very niche market. They were speaking to those people, and then they expanded, and then they started speaking to more people, and then they expanded. As you go on from the pond to the ocean, each one is more expansion, okay? And your avatar expands, and your offers expand, and all these different things, right? But don't think you should be here when you're over here. And that is, right now, you should be very, very clearly focused on building something great, building a success story around the influence that you have. Okay? They're playing a totally, totally different game. Now, they have the more everybody mindset, right? You think of like Joe Rogan, for example. Like, he's trying to appeal to the masses. He's not trying to get you to buy into his product or services per se. He is the product or service. He gets paid millions and millions of dollars just to do the show. He does not care one bit about whether you buy his service or offering or whatsoever. He's playing a totally different game. And here's the reality about Joe Rogan, right? I would never go to Joe Rogan's show and like buy something. He's not talking to me. He's talking entertainment. He's talking pop culture. He's talking all these different things. I would never take his voice as credible for anything that I'm trying to build, unless he started speaking on his excellent interview skills, which I think are absolutely amazing. That's particularly the only thing I would ever buy from Joe Rogan would be how he is able to craft interviews in such a compelling way. That'd be the only thing. But he's not doing that because he's a generalist. He's looking for pop culture. He's looking for entertainment. He's looking to reach the masses. So thereby, I would never open my pocketbook to Joe Rogan. And you could probably answer that same question. You probably never would either. What do you think you're going to buy from him? Nothing. Joe Rogan will never get in my pocketbook. All right? And so that being said, then you have to understand that you're not trying to be Joe Rogan. You're trying to communicate in a way and offer something in a way where you can build value, where you can create business, and where you can create influence and money. It's a far different ballgame. Okay? You don't need to be trusted by everybody. Let me tell you something. If you had 100 people, just 100, that bought high ticket from you, it will absolutely positively change your life. It'll change your life. Let's say your high ticket is $10,000 a month, and you could do the math on this. How much is that for 100 people? 100 people at $10,000 a month is 1.2 million a month, right? You guys can verify it if I did the math right on that. 1.2 million a month, or pretty close, right? I think it might be a million. 12 million a year. That's correct. Okay. So the 100 people, 10,000 a month, would put you at 12 million a year. That will absolutely positively change your life. And so will the 6 million a year if your high ticket offer is 5,000 a month. 6 million, well, that'll change your life. And so will the 2,500. Because that would be 3 million a year. And so you can kind of see on down as you divide it, what is life-changing? And if 2,500 is life-changing, and that is the $3 million range, well, if I can't do that, well, let's go to 1,250 a month and do 1.5 a year. you're going to find a range in a category of your high ticket offer that is somewhere between $700 and $1,400 that if you had 100 people, it would absolutely change your life because you'd be making some serious cash. Okay. So I said all that to say you don't have to be trusted by everybody. You only need 100 people to absolutely positively change your life. Because if you're trying to be trusted by everybody, you're going to become a generalist that is not as going to have all kinds of different spears and all kinds of different offers. And you're going to be spread too thin and you're not even on that level yet. Okay? You got me. So the pond, remember, skyfall, rain comes down, idea goes to pond puddles. This is where there is confinement around who you are. You know, you look at a pond or a puddle and it's like, it's not particularly going anywhere yet. And this is you like finding your voice. This is you going through the process that I'm helping you discover who you really are. Your audience at this current time is usually the people that are closest around you. And sometimes it's your journal. This is how some of the pond is, or it could be the pond of your certain just locale, right? Most of the people that I meet that are going public with their message, they haven't yet went virtually yet. So they're in a small little locale area in brick and mortar or something very similar. And they haven't yet expanded beyond the pond. All right. This is crafting time. This is small conversations. This is very small group thinking, okay? So the question is, well, how do I get out of a pond and get into a creek? Let me explain to you how podcasting does this, and it does this at a rapid fashion. You can also do this in other different ways, but this is the way that I know. Is that when it comes to networking, that you constantly want to be looking at the circle that is above you. Now, if you've been in this journey long, you will understand that you are the sum total of your friends, your environments, your belief system, and the books that you read, right? This is what creates the frame and the ramifications for your life. It also becomes your ceiling and your barriers. So if you look at that and say, well, I want to go to the next level. I want to get out of the pond and I want to go to the creek. The best way to do that is to make sure that in the pond that you've kind of crafted a very clear message, that you've started something and you got some movement going. All right. Because if you're still in the pond and you're on the sidelines or you're stagnating and you haven't let the message sink down deep and you haven't solidified who you are, like you just not ready yet. All right. So then you get into the creek. And the best way to do this is to understand that whatever next level that you want to achieve, you're going to have to associate and break through the barrier of the network and the circle of those people that are on that level. All right. If you want to go to the next level, it is connected to the books you are reading and the people that you hang around with. So the first step to going to the next level is starting reading different books, next level books, whatever your next level is. So if you are thinking about starting a business, you are in pre-contemplation stage, you're in a pond. And you haven't yet created the momentum yet. The idea has flowed, but you haven't got any movement yet. The best thing that you could be consuming at that point is all things connected to business and to startups and to offers. All right. So you're consuming content that is next level. And then you start finding next level people. And that is you start finding people that already have launched, already start up, and already have a business. And then you begin to associate with people on those levels. This is what's going to pull you and to bring you to that next level. Now, if you can capture this, man, this is like really gold. It's going to save you a lot of time and frustration. Because I don't know any man who is on this journey that doesn't want to go to the next level. I'm constantly looking for next level people. In fact, some of the interviews in the podcast I did lately are people that are in the circle that is outside of mine. And I'm intentionally looking for the people that are just outside of my circle because I want to get on their level. I look up to them. I admire them. I love what they're doing. And by association, I am engaging with those people and I'm surrounding myself with those people, and those people are pulling me into the next level. And on it goes. So when it comes to your podcast, you'd be thinking guest. If you're not going to do guests, you're going to limit yourself by 50% of your podcast. I recommend that every person who does a podcast do guest interviews. Okay. It's not about you. It's not about your information. It's not about your knowledge. Like, you can get that a dime a dozen almost anywhere. All right. They can get that from ChatGPT now. What it is the relationship building. Okay. And so if you want to increase your network, I want you to think about this. If you interviewed a person a week for a year, you would have 52 new people inside of your network. Right? And that is the kind of the circle that you are surrounding yourself with. If you double that, and you would have access to 100 new people inside of a circle. And if you begin to identify your top 20 or your top 50 people that are on the next level that you would love to collaborate with, and you start building relationship by liking their content and connecting with them and doing all these different things, and then invite them to your show, I can guarantee you that you are going to connect with next level people. You are. This is the reason why podcasting is a network machine. If you want to go to the next level, I don't know anything faster to get you to the next level than a podcast, because all I need to identify is the people that I want to talk to, the rooms that I want to get in, the circle that I want to be pulled to. All right. Now, here's the danger in this is don't go too high, right? You're just trying to get to the next circle. You're just trying to go from pond to creek, or maybe you're trying to go from creek to stream. All right. You don't go creek and go, I think I'm going to talk to the ocean people and see if I can get them on my show. And let me tell you, it can be done. I've seen a couple of people do it. And I'm just like, wow, how the heck did you do that? There's absolutely amazing. But it doesn't happen very often. Like I knew somebody who got on the phone with Grant Cardone's people, and he wooed the person on the other end of the line so much that she passed him through to Grant Cardone, and he got an interview, and absolutely amazing. Now, let me tell you, that kind of thing rarely ever happens for you to go from a stream to the ocean. All right. And the reality is that a lot of these people, like, you can kind of take like Ed Mylett, for example, or some other big people, Bradley or Gary Vee or some of these other ones, that this is where I was talking about paying your way to the top. Is, yeah, you can get them on your podcast, right? Or you can come in to their studio and record with them. But it's going to cost you big time. We're talking like $25,000, $50,000. And here's the mistake that I see people make. If I can get in a room with Ed Mylett, that's going to absolutely change things. So I can go from creek to ocean, and if I get seen once inside of the ocean, that this is going to give me the clout and credibility that I need, right? But here's the reality is that you will get far more downloads on some no-name person who has some unique story to tell than you will Ed Mylett. And I'm not bagging on Ed Mylett. I love Ed Mylett. I mean, he's like, whew, like amazing. But when it comes to your show, I've seen this happen over and over again, that people think that the big name on their show is going to get them the mass. There's all kinds of podcast episodes with Ed Mylett on them. There are all kinds, right? And you'll be surprised that person that just is on the next level than you is going to pull more clout, credibility, and influence from that episode than you would forking over $25,000 to $50,000 to fake your way to the top. It will. All right. All right. So the stream, this is where you begin to structure your voice. This is where you're influencing somewhere between 50 to 250 people. And this is kind of where the podcast starts out. Like, you start out with maybe 30 people, and then it hits 60 people, and you start getting momentum. And from the 60, it starts to kind of double every once in a while. You're hitting 120, right? And you're building a stream. and you're streaming, you're doing lives, you're broadcasting, like all of these different things. And you've built kind of a framework of consistency people can follow, and people are starting to follow you. Okay. You're in flow and you're building a stream. Now this moves to a river. Remember, we're going to the ocean. I'm not trying to discourage you from getting to the ocean. I'm just trying to communicate strongly the path to the ocean. Let me tell you, I'm on the ocean myself. All right. I'm on my path and my momentum to the ocean. I'll let you know when I get there. So the next stage is the river, and that is you're reaching somewhere between 250 to 1,000 people repeatedly with your podcast episodes. Or if it's your book, you're able to sell 250 to 1,000 books. If it's your course, that you have introduced 250 to 1,000 people to your course. Okay, this is the river. You got systems, you got influences, this is where you can start maybe changing the avatar just a little bit. And that is, you can still hit your main avatar, but you can hit the lower avatar to bring them up to that level. This is kind of the stage where you would be able to do that and pull that off without losing focus. Okay. Now, next, it's going to take you to the more expansion. Okay. This is where your voice is going to begin to expand. We're talking about 1,000 to 10,000 people. You're going to have authority in your space. You're going to have relevance in what you are saying. You got your niche. That is the main people that you're talking to, and you have your sub niche. This for me was when after I pulled kind of high ticket people and led to one high ticket offer, now I can begin to talk to the people who are at the pre-contemplation startup stage, bring them inside of the journey, right? This is your niche is expanding. And I wouldn't recommend doing this until it says 1,000 to 10,000. I would maybe recommend that you be more like 20,000 downloads a month, maybe 20,000 people inside of all your network. That is LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, all of those different ones. Then you could start thinking about wider things. All right. What's crazy is even at this stage, I'm so thankful that I had a coach to tell me not to focus on all this dumb stuff, that he said, just go get out there and get influence and sell some stuff. That's what you need to be focused on, right? And the building the website and the funnels and the CRMs and all these different things, those don't mean nothing when you are in a pond. They're absolutely nothing. We think that we're going to build the infrastructure for the ocean and bring it to the pond like it's going to be relevant. All you're going to do is spin in circles and waste a whole lot of time, and it's not going to get you anywhere, all right? So all of this is drop all the other stuff that doesn't even matter. The only thing that matters is people seeing you and the results and the momentum that you're creating, and get on calls and sell and get people into your service. That's it. You can worry about expansion when you get to this stage. All right. Then you can start building opt-ins and lead gen and funnels and websites and all this different stuff. If you start here, if you start at the expansion stage, and this is where people get wrong, you haven't even fleshed out who you are. You don't know your service. You haven't got any results. Like, you have no momentum or support behind you whatsoever. You haven't got skills of showing up on social media yet and creating daily habits that actually get you to win. And you think that building a website is going to solve your problem. It's not going to solve your problem. It's only going to exacerbate the problem because you're focused on the wrong things. All right. So expansion, 10,000 people. Now, Coastline, this is where I'm currently located. I'm at the coastline, man. I can see the ocean. I can see the ocean. I got way more than 10,000 downloads a month. I got way more than 10,000 through all my social media channels, emails, all this different things. I'm at the coastline. I have created a public voice. I'm becoming sort of recognizable. People see my content. They understand what I'm about. They know that I'm the podcast guy. I've went on hundreds of podcasts. I've had hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of guests. I'm on the 400th plus episode. all kinds of launches behind me. Over 300 people launched their podcasts through like books and courses and like Coastline. Whew, and I can see the ocean and it looks beautiful. I imagine the ocean. I see the future. It looks great. And so now I'm looking at what kind of people that are swimming in the ocean that I can connect with. People that have massive influence and have stages and all these different stuff. Coastline. All right. This is a good place to be. And like I said, I'm not trying to fake like I'm in the ocean, but let me tell you, if you want to go to the coastline, the stuff that I'm laying out for you will get you to the coastline. It'll get you to that 10,000 downloads or more a month, 20,000 downloads. It's going to get you to the 20,000 social media influence. It's going to get you subscriber base in your emails. This is going to get you to the coastline. All right. And we know the ocean. We're talking about 100,000 and beyond. 100,000 emails, 100,000 on social media, 100,000 downloads a month. Like we're talking big ocean. And this is where people get general and they get broad because they're more personal branding. Now, this is a stage. Let me give you a vision of the future for you, because this is the future that I'm seeing for myself. Is at this stage, it's all about personal branding. And it's all about you standing above your empires and the businesses that you have created and the investments that you have. And you stand outside of these and you're able as a personal brand to begin to grow and funnel your influence into your different endeavors. All right. Whew, I see that. I see that in my future. I see where I'm going. I see where I want to be. And I hope you can see that for yourself too. All right. So pond or creek, you're speaking to one person with one problem. The stream or the river, you've created momentum and you got the path down and you got this system for the journey and the transformation that you are taking people on. All right. After that is the expansion in the coastline. We're thinking about expansion, we're growing, we're building systems and processes. We're thinking, how can I get out of the business and start working on the business? How can I stand above the business instead of in it? This is kind of ocean level thinking. All right. And then the ocean, mass expansion. Now here's my take on it. Is that after you get to the ocean, you may start all at the beginning with a whole nother endeavor. And you might start, even though you're in the ocean, you might take something that is a rainfall idea that'll land in a puddle in a pond. And you might, again, go back and take it through the whole system and stages and processes once again. This is why it's clear that you know this. Pond, I'm finding my voice. Creek, I'm practicing my voice. I'm showing up and using it. Stream, I'm organizing my voice. River, I'm scaling my voice. Expansion is I'm expanding my voice. Coastline, I'm broadcasting it massively in all different social media channels, through courses, through books, through podcasts, through social media channels. Coastline, and then ocean, I am multiplying and expanding what it is that I know. All right. So here's the bottom line is that you don't need everyone. You just need to find 100 people that have a significant enough problem that you can solve. That's it. 100 people. And they need to trust you. You need to see where you are currently located and begin to ask yourself the questions that are going to get you to the next stage. And you need to understand the things that are holding you in that stage. Because you're not going to grow and expand beyond your current level of thinking and to the bubble that you have burst. Okay, to go to the next level, there is always going to be a bubble to burst. And the first is your own personal ceiling that is connected to your belief systems and what you think you can actually accomplish. That needs to be burst first. And let me tell you from experience, it feels like you're falling apart. It feels like you don't know who you are anymore. It feels like you're a little bit confused. Let me tell you, good. because you're not going to go to the next level until that bubble bursts. The man you are has to die for the new man to arise on every single level that you face. All right? All right, I'll see you on the next one.